All right. Here we are again. It is From the Margins with Jimmy Afine. Jimmy Afine is a Central Florida attorney. He is a father, a grandfather, a husband, and he is a stamp collector. He is well
Correct.
renowned in Democratic politics here in Florida, in politics in general. My friend, my mentor, Jimmy, welcome back.
Thank you. And welcome back to all. And this has been an interesting week. We could have a couple of things to discuss. But the one that I think I could predict from the output is what I would call the calendar of the shutdown. The Senate returns next Monday, the day
Yes.
before the shutdown, and the House does not return until after the shutdown because Johnson made that mandate, not because of the budget. He's afraid that now that they had to vote for the Epstein files, he's going to try to convince them not to bring it up.
Hmm.
So we have an interesting way of seeing what's going to happen here, but I'm going to predict that there's going to be a shutdown. There's no incentive to the Democrats to vote to continue voting to funding the government that is screwing the people. I'm sorry, there is no incentive. I mean,
Right.
that budget would have cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, would have cuts to other services to the people, to Obamacare. So why would Democrats vote for it? As a matter of fact, with all due respect, we all know this, but Schumer got chastised because the last time around he voted to extend it till today.
That's correct. That is
So
correct.
and somebody told me, and I don't know this to be true. He doesn't have, even if he said, "Hey, let me get 7 Democrats to vote for this," he doesn't have 7 Democrats who would do it this time because those who voted for it in the past also got chastised.
Yep.
So it's going to be an interesting thing. I'm predicting that there's going to be a shutdown, and what's even going to be more weird is that I don't think. Well, you have to understand that Donald Trump doesn't have much up here and say he has nothing. Well, I'm going to fire federal employees. Hey, you can. And when you open and there's nobody to answer the phones or to open the parks or to handle the case, the claim for the IRS, and people say, hey, there's nobody in the IRS, I don't have to pay my taxes. Go for it.
Wow. So this is what the conservatives have always wanted: smaller government. So by default, they will get smaller government because the president will be able then to fire federal employees and most likely will not bring them back if and when government opens up again.
Yeah.
Uh, when was the last time something like this actually happened? I vaguely remember this happening. Maybe it was at the state level in Illinois. However, I'm not too sure if I'm correct that it happened at the federal level, but essential services were still left available.
It happened under Clinton, uh, but that was in the 90s. So, yeah,
Right.
you're talking about some time ago that it happened. It's Look, let's get this clear. When people say, "Oh, well, we want smaller government," look at asshole. Do you know that here the agency I know, Social Security, has let seven? I thought it was less, but up to now I've been told 7 single mothers. They fired them.
Hmm.
These are people who depend from a paycheck. These are not thieves. These are not horrible people. These are people who went to find a job like everybody else. The federal government said, yes, I'm going to hire you because you're qualified. Yes, we need you here because of the amount of people that we need to serve. And no, no, we're just going to fire you because we're going to fire you.
Mm.
Do we save any money? Yeah, you want to save money? Fire the president. Fire the whole staff of the White House. You want to start firing? Do a dodge in the White House, and you'll be saving billions of dollars. You want to you want to do that? Fire half of the people in position and high positions in the in government agencies who are appointees,
Hmm.
political appointees.
Sure.
stop this thing that the Joe Blow who handles the claims for FEMA, we're going to fire him, and that's going to save us a lot of money. Stop lying to the people of this country. But yes, there's going to be a shutdown, and how effective is it going to be, and how long is it going to last, is a good question. Okay, but guess who's going to get blamed? It's the Republicans. They have the House, they have the Senate, and they have the presidency. They're going to get blamed, and that's it's going to backfire in them like they have no idea, and they're not going to be able to justify. People are picking up their lies. So it's going to be an interesting thing. Now
Jimmy,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jim.
Now that we go into lies, let's say one last thing about the shutdown. When people tell you that there's not a budget, there hasn't been a budget for years. These are continual resolutions, which basically say we have been funding the government the same way for years.
Right.
That covers most salaries, but it does not cover extraordinary expenses, except it's been known that the Department of Defense goes back and say, hey, we need to buy some useless airplanes, give me the money, and the money appears. Why? Because the contractors who have the House and the Senate in their back pocket say, you got to vote for this because I just gave you $50,000 for you to vote for it, and they vote for it. So yes, those things do get. So other than that, do we need new software? Well, Oracle's now doesn't have that many House and Senate people to get them to vote for it, so it's small. And those of you who want to do contracts of providing vaccines, this is something that I did not know. There are 6 companies that do vaccines for federal employees, for clinics in rural areas,
okay,
for people in the Army, for people in the Air Force, for people in the National Guard, for people in the Reserve. They have these contracts.
Nice.
And they provide vaccines. They do testing, blood tests and stuff like that. And they do core, the thing which to find out if you have cancer colon. They do all these things for federal employees and for that include the military. Well, because federal employees do not need vaccines, they're not going to receive them. Just so you know that. And that's not going to be a part of the shutdown. Because the federal government does not believe in vaccines, they're not going to vaccinate their employees.
Wow.
You didn't think of that consequence, did you?
I did not, Jimmy. I own up to that. And it's just odd. You mentioned that, discretionary money or money just appears for this project or another. Argentina is having a problem with its monetary system, and Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, said that, we'll give them $20 billion to stabilize the lira. And I was like, wait a second, or it's the Argentinian dollar, I can't remember. I was like, wait a second, $20 billion, we're just going to give them $20 billion to stabilize their currency? Wait a second, where did this $20 billion come from? But I must admit,
but there's no money to fund Obamacare.
Right.
My health is not as important as the monetary funds of Argentina. But, for people who are a bunch of hypocrites, we don't care about the rest of the world. America first. There's one example. We'll give money to Argentina to stabilize their economy, but we won't pay for you to be able to have health care.
Right.
The American people will go without health care, but the Argentinians need their money to be stabilized. Don't tell me about America first and that you don't want to get involved in other countries. You just did. Mm-hmm. That's why I call them the liar government. They lie about everything.
And with this particular administration, things have been moving so quickly, one thing after another. I do miss the days of the Biden administration when there was very barely anything coming out of that administration, and now I understand why, because there were a lot of issues there. But that's for another day. But boy, Jimmy, this is holy cow! There's always something with this administration to keep us on our toes and keep and just to stay aware of. And
All right.
I hope there's no shutdown. However, the way you explain it, it looks like there is that strong possibility of it happening.
Hey, look, even if the Senate could work out something, let's say they worked out something, then they would have to go back to the House. Well, wait a minute, the House is coming back after September 30th.
Oh,
So, the only way we could avoid this shutdown, and this is it, is you accept as is the House version. And that has never happened. It's always been, back and forth. Hey, cut this, give me that. It's called negotiations. So since the only option is to accept the House version as is, it's not going to happen. We know that right now because it's never happened even when it was the other shoe. When the Republicans were, they didn't. There's always been a negotiation, but there can't be one because the House is not going to be in session. Not because of the economy. And this is the sad part. It's because Johnson does not want to bring back the House because he's afraid of the Epstein. Because he knows that once it sits there, they're going to bring in this thing and say, here's 218 of us who want to vote on this. And they're going to vote on it.
man, this is politics, y'all. This is the essence of what politics is, and someone's going to have to bite the bullet. Unless one side gets bullied, there's going to have to be some type of compromise or negotiation.
Oh, yeah, there will be. But let's then, now that you say politics, let's talk about our local politics.
All right,
It's
Jimmy.
getting interesting. A Republican friend of mine called me and said, Jimmy, you do not know this, but the Florida Republican Party is petrified if Deming runs for governor. I say, why? Well, we can't call him a liberal because he's not. We can't call him a person who spend more money, even though we've tried to make up bullshit things that Orange County has been wasting money, but we can't prove a penny of waste money. We have been attacking them for even letting the roads be painted on. Then we realized that the roads that would be painted on were not in Orange County; they were in the city of Orlando, which he has no control over.
Right.
They are petrified. That's why they're attacking Orange County the way they are, because basically they're going to try to make him look like a bad administrator, because that's the only hope they have. They realize that independents would go with him. They realize he might be the person who can motivate the Democratic base to come out, because Jolly's not going to be able to do that, like Charlie Crist was not able to do it either. That he can go and campaign effectively and get out the vote. And like somebody told me, who's a Democrat, who I found that interesting. Hey, I can't vote for Jolly, but I can vote for Demings. It's going to be a very well articulated person who has a track record of law enforcement. Okay, he was the chief of police of Orlando Police Department. He was the sheriff of Orange County. So he call himself on crime is not going to fly.
Right.
Okay, call him a Black Lives Matter person. That won't fly. So basically, they are petrified of him running.
Interesting. That's very interesting, Jimmy, because, well, first of all, kudos to you because you called out the Democrats so many times about having somebody, anyone who can galvanize the Democratic vote to run statewide. And we went down the list of, each category of office that's up for election, and no one. As recently as last week, and then Demi's name come up. Now, from your Republican friend, that's a very good perspective. Um, and Demings, I guess, from what I understand, Demings is like, hey, it's time to push back. It's time to fight back. And we both know Mayor Demings. We know his style. We know how he can captivate the audience. Um, However, Jimmy, that's here in Orange County. And my first question is, and I know he's not his wife. However, his wife was a congresswoman. She ran for statewide office at, as senator. Will we see the same type of candidacy as we saw with Representative Val Demings' candidacy? Because I would think there's loyalty throughout politics and loyalty with inside the campaign. And so the people who ran her campaign would likely be the same people who would run Demi's campaign. And we saw the results of Representative Val Demings' campaign. Your thoughts on that point?
Val is a horrible campaigner. She always was, always will. And I'm going to say this in a very respectful way, and please do not take it out of context. She won her only election, let's call it out, as a U.S. congressperson in a heavily African American district.
Yes, she did.
Which she campaigned very well. Her people did a very well campaign address as to where it was. Where they went horrible is that they look when she ran for Congress, the Hispanic vote was something like 3 or 4%, so it didn't amount to anything. I think the white vote was something like 18%, so between both it ended up in 24%. So yes, it really didn't go well. Yeah. But when she ran statewide, she hardly went to South Florida.
Yes.
She hardly went to the Panhandle. And she concentrated 90% of the funds that she received in TV ads.
Yes.
And with all due respect to her, her advisors did a horrible job. And if Jerry follows the advice of the same people, yeah, he will lose. First of all, she never mentioned she was a U.S. congresswoman. Okay? She only tried to run as a chief of police. Only. She did not spend a penny in the Hispanic community.
Yes.
Took for granted that South Florida was going to vote Democrat, and it didn't because she basically could not get the vote out. And in fairness, she committed a mistake that she thought her own publicity that she was a shoo-in. She was a more than qualified black woman who had all this money and she was going to be in, and she didn't have to work that hard. Yes, she's going to. You're going to see Jerry out in the state, and I'm going to say this, he's mostly going to be alone. And he can captivate an audience like she's never been capable of doing. She's a prototype of real law enforcement. Shut up and do what I tell you to do, and I'm not going to try to smooth you or to win you over. Jerry has learned by having to run for sheriff and by mayor and by being mayor that there's certain people that you have to smooth. When I went the last time to the county commission and we discussed the maps, he was very personable. He came to me and basically he said, I'm considering running for mayor. I said, don't worry, I'll help you out. So yes, he can. And he can articulate much better than she can. So the thing is he going to follow the advice? It depends because this is the rumor that I've heard, and I can't prove it to be true. But a lot of people who lost that race with her have repeated to me in more than one occasion she didn't listen. She did whatever she wanted. She didn't listen. How true that is, I have no idea. I'm going to say I have no idea, but when more than one person tells you the same thing, it tends to be true. So, and I know that she could be stubborn and not listen to people and do things her own way. Running for U.S. Congress in a heavily African American district is not the same as running statewide in Florida. Can Jerry win? Yes. Why? Because he's running against somebody that's backed by Donald Trump, who is not the greatest campaigner, who's a horrible campaigner, to be quite honest, and who's not going to listen to advisors. He's going to listen to people say, hey, you need to make this campaign to one person, and that is Donald Trump. Mm. And yeah, you can campaign to Donald Trump, but that's not going to secure you getting out. And there's a lot of NPAs who may come out and say, yes, we're going to vote for Jerry Demings. Now, there is one factor that I'm going to discuss that might affect the election when I go into the fuck up of the week of the Democrats. But other than that, if Jerry runs, I don't know if anybody else is running who's a strong Democratic candidate for the position. So he should be a shoo-in. Jolly, it's going nowhere. The Democrats are not going to keep electing a Republican to run as a Democrat. That's not going to. It's failed twice. Stop trying to prove that Einstein was correct. We all know that he was. You got to prove that. You could do it and repeat it again, but it's not going to change. It's not going to work. I like Jerry. I think he would be a great governor, and it would be an honor for me to work with him. So I'll say that, put that out there right now. You run, Jerry, call me, and I will be there for you. I will help you with the Hispanic vote. I will go to wherever we need to go and do whatever we need to do, because it's time that we elect a Democrat who can bring both the right and the left from my party together, can bring together the MPAs and some of those Republicans who are kind of fed up with MAGA. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of those in Florida. As a matter of fact, the person who called me to tell me this is, yes, he's working with the government, but he realizes that the weakness. But it's kind of interesting that the reason that the Attorney General, that the CFO, and the governor's attacking Orange County is to destroy Jerry Demings and to make him weaker as a candidate for governor.
You brought up two things, Jimmy, about Mayor Demings' candidacy for governor. The big one, of course, is the Hispanic vote. We saw, as you mentioned, how Val Demings did with the Hispanic vote. And Democrats are having, with each cycle, more and more difficulty with the Hispanic vote moving towards the Republican Party. Again, as I got my a campaign consultant hat on, of course, and I'm looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats here. Every time anyone says, I'm thinking about running for office. So that's a threat and a weakness that I see in a Jerry Demings for governor campaign. How does Mayor Demings overcome that particular threat and weakness to his effort? And like you said, the first step is coming to you.
Look, let's get it clear. How much money did Ms. Demings spend in the Hispanic community? Because she did 90% of her things were ads, and they were all in white neighborhoods, strangely, some okay, all around the state, how many ads did they put out in Spanish? How much outreach did they have in the Hispanic community? How much time did she spend? And I'm going to go further. How much time did she spend in Osceola County? Uh, the reason that Hispanics are going to Republicans is because they're spending the time, the money, and the energy. Look, basically, Jerry Demings can do something that she could have, but she never tried to. Say, hey, wait a minute. You're thinking Republican because crime. Hey, I was the chief of police and I was a sheriff. I dealt with crime and I reduced it both in Orange County and in the city of Orlando. So I got the experience to reduce crime. Oh, okay. That's something that the Hispanic community likes. Two, let me get it clear to you. As an African American, I understand discrimination and how times this could affect our communities. I can guarantee you that I'm not going to do that. I can guarantee you that I will have in my cabinet Hispanics working with us. I can guarantee you that I do have a concern and a legitimate understanding of the Hispanic community. As a matter of fact, as mayor, as sheriff of Orange County, my number two person was Rivero, a Cuban. Okay, I can bring that to you. When I was in the city of Orlando, Rivero was my number three guy, and I brought him with me to the sheriff's office, and I let him run the office because he was qualified. So I could give you proof of how I do things. I have made sure that everything is honored at Hispanic community. Yes, I see Jerry spending time with the Hispanic community. I don't see it. She never did that. For some reason, she conceded that to this or that, or the old time favorite that most Republican leadership think that, well, Hispanics are going to vote for us because they're not going to vote for Republicans because of the immigration issue. Most Hispanics, we don't care about immigration because it doesn't affect us. There's some that affects, yes, but that is not our primary issue. Our primary issue is education, crime, and the economy, stupid. And that's where we need to go. So it has been an issue that I think if he gets the advice and he does it, he could get the Hispanic vote. Hey, and let's not say something that I find it interesting, but he should not even take for granted that he has the African American vote. That one he's going to have to work too.
That's right.
Because a lot of African Americans are going towards the Republicans. It's not only Hispanic, it's also African Americans. So he's going to have to get that. Plus, I think that, and why do I say that? This is something that is not said in many circles, but it's the truth. Many of the African American men did not vote for Ms. Demings, nor did they vote for Kamala. Let's stop pretending. Okay. So we're going to have to find a way that we can overcome this, and he's going to have to not take that area for granted and be able to go out there and get that vote too. And if he could work Miami and try to get it back, everybody will be happy. But let me end this, Jerry. If you're going to run for governor, you got to mount your own campaign, and I can tell you how much help you're going to get from the Florida Democratic Party.
There you go.
If anything, when I go up for the fuck up of the week, they might hurt you. So let's get this clear. I would help you out. I think you would be a great candidate. And between you and Jolly, it's a non-contest for me. But we should be thinking about who's going to run for Attorney General, who's going to run for CFO,
there you go,
run for Secretary of Agriculture.
Yep.
We have a young lady who's a school board member who says she's going to run for the Senate. We're going to lose that race already unless somebody really qualified pops up. But we know that might not happen. So, yes, it's going to be an interesting thing, at least if we get the governor and part of the cabinet would be great. But yeah, it's time to do so. And yeah,
It's going to be difficult having a Democrat as the governor and the uh, Florida legislature still dominated with supermajorities by Republicans. It's going to be very difficult for a Demings or a Jolly administration. Jimmy, my third point here, you touched upon it. The platform, Jerry Demings' platform. What different can he offer? And those things that are more on the minds of businesses, of homeowners, business owners, the particularly property tax relief, which we know is, if not the largest issue in the Florida legislature this session, starting very soon. What would be Jerry's plan? What would be Mayor Deming's plan?
well, Merritt, if he's smart enough and knows how to campaign, he could say, "Look, let's get this clear. I ran a one of the largest counties in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We did it successfully. We were able. We have very low crime. We are one of the most friendly counties pro business in the state of Florida. Hey, tourism is in Orange County. The Hotel Association was very happy with Jerry. The Disney, Epcot, and I mean, and Universal, and all of them were very happy with him. So it's not like they're going to be able to say, "Hey, he's anti-business." No, he's not. Uh, the thing that I think he's going to have to be careful with is how he phrases the following. Look, it sounds great. Don't pay property taxes. And when you're driving down Orange Avenue and your car falls in a hole, who are you going to call? DeSantis or the House of the Senate? Because realistically, hey, the counties have no money to fix that pothole. So basically, people, that's going to be your problem.
Yeah.
Uh, and the problem is, okay, so you reduce property taxes. Stop lying to the people. You're going to have to increase sales tax. The places that have reduced property taxes, what they have done is they have increased sales tax.
Yeah.
So yeah, so yet now you're paying 5 cents and you're not paying property taxes, but you're going to have to pay 8%. And those of you who are renting, who don't really pay property taxes, unless directly, now you're going to have to go from 5 to 8. Look, the counties and the governments are going to have to still be financed, and how they're going to be financed is going to be with sales tax. Look, right now, what has Trump done? Trump has created a false impression. He's taxed us, and we just are we're not even smart enough to pick up that our taxes have been increased. Well, how? Tariffs. You go to Dollar Tree, everything is more expensive. You go into Publix, everything is more expensive. The economy is out of line. You go to Walmart, everything is more expensive. Why? Because we are being taxed with the tariffs. It's not China, it's not paying for it. Canada's not paying for it. Mexico's not paying for it. We are paying for it. They sell us the products. Once they come into the country, the person who buys it has to pay the 25% tariffs on it. And then resells it to us. We're being taxed directly. And well, the deficit is down. Yeah, because you're taking the money from the people. You are taxing us. So when they say we're going to reduce property taxes, beware of where they're going to increase it. And maybe he could smooth it and say, hey, I'm all for it. But don't come next and try to say, well, we're going to increase your sales tax because you're taking from Peter to pay Paul. So if you know how to explain it, I think he can overcome that. Now, is Tallahassee going to pass it? That was a big fight last year.
Yes.
And nothing really went through. DeSantis is a dead duck, not even a lame duck. He's a dead duck. I mean, we're next year the section is 26. They're going to have the Republican candidate, their primaries, and he's not going to be somebody that the legislature really has to deal with. So, is the legislature really going to pass that? I am not sure. I'm really not sure because none of the people who have an interest in it are powerful enough to go through with it. It's a great campaign issue, but if they didn't do it in 25, I don't see them doing it in 26. Just that's not me. And between now and next year, God knows what it's going to be the new flavor of the month. So we'll see.
You
And
would
Brian
think
Johnson is not campaigning on it either.
right, and you would think that the Republicans having the supermajorities and having some districts that are, purple districts, they will want to keep those seats that they have or expand upon it. You would think that they would want to have some type of legislation that would make a difference going into the midterm elections when the session is over in March. So there is a double-edged sword for them. And Representative Ryan Chamberlain has his Freedom 123 bill addressing property taxes. And I see this as a big issue. And again, Jimmy, like you said, maybe nothing comes of it.
Maybe nothing comes of it because realistically, this is a bill that the MAGA people would love. Who could vote for you anyway and respect it. Are the Democrats going to say, oh, I'm switching parties because of my property taxes? I'm not sure. Right. I know that the young people who don't own houses is not going to put a penny in their pocket so that they don't care. So that people are not going to change. The MPAs who are still paying more for their groceries, for their food, and for everything else are going to blame the Republicans, so it's not going to help them. So I'm not sure. This is like the lie of Winter Park. Winter Park, everybody, ever since I can remember, tells me, you don't want Winter Park in your district because Winter Park would control your district. The last person who got elected who was from Winter Park was Ted Edwards. And when he lost to Emily, Winter Park voted against him. The last election, Winter Park's ex-mayor ran against Kelly, and he lost every precinct in Winter Park. Mm-hmm. He didn't win one. He lost them all. There's 30,000 people. And a district that has 240,000 people, they cannot control. Do they have money? Yes. Does money control elections in Orange County? Let's see. Sure. Maribel was outspent 20-1. No. Kelly was spent 8-1. No. Nicole was spent, the last one, almost 21-1. It didn't help at all. Let's see. Maida, the first time around, was outspent and didn't help at all. Second time with Pete Clark, she was almost there at the same level. It didn't help at all. District 6 money has never been an issue, so I'm not going to even go there.
Sure.
But realistically, let's put it this way. 2 women were outspent by 2 men in the last election, and the 2 women got elected. When somebody called me the other day, say, I want to run for county commissioners, can you give me some advice? I say, yeah, sure. Change your gender. You're a man. You're not going to win. And the guy, what? It's a fact. It's a fact of life. Mike Miller, asked Mike Miller. He lost. Okay? Yeah. And I can keep going down the line of men who lost.
Right.
So, yes, if you're going to talk to me about elections here, yes. So can Jerry Demings convince the general public? Yes. Look, they have analyzed this in Tallahassee. And the one person, the Florida Republican Party, is petrified of running for office is Mayor Jerry Demings. You cannot accuse himself of crime. You cannot call him a liberal. You cannot call him somebody a woke. You can none of that's going to apply to him. Oh, he's a bad administrator. No, he's not. He administrated sheriff's office with no missing of funds. He did this, the city of on the police department, no missing funds. The city, Orange County, no missing funds. No, even as much as they try to manufacture, they can prove a penny misspent. So yes, no. What are they going to say? They have nothing. That's the whole issue. They have nothing. They're just hoping that people will vote against a Democrat because he's simply a Democrat. That's their hope. Believe it or not, that's what I was told. The hope is that they vote against him simply because he's a Democrat.
Right. You definitely have a lot more Republicans than Democrats, about 2 million more, maybe close to 3 million by the time the November elections come around in 2026. You do have a growing non-party affiliate, and whatever message either Republican or Democratic candidate will have for governor, it has to really address that NPA vote. That independent vote is going to make the difference in this particular race. Of course, Democrats have to show up. They really do. They have to show up. And for midterm,
in fairness to everybody, I'm a Democrat, and I'm going to say this to my Florida Democratic Party. Really, last election, you gave me a person who 4 years prior had lost the race for governor, who is a former Republican governor of the state of Florida, who Republicans hate with a passion. The MPAs did not like him when he was governor. Let's stop pretending this.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, hey, Democrats, we're giving you a piece of shit. Go and vote for him. And then you complain that the people did not go out to vote for him. Let me ask you one question, and you answer me. How much inspiration did Charlie Crist give you to go out to vote? But Democrats don't show up. Really? You give us a bad candidate, and the bad candidate loses, and instead of saying, hey, he lost because he was a bad candidate,
right?
Like I say about Kamala Harris, but no. Let's blame the Democrats for not coming out and doing it.
Well, speaking of Kamala Harris, 107 days, her book tour. Jimmy, did she say what she said about why she didn't pick Pete Buttigieg, Josh Shapiro, so forth and so on? Did she really say those things?
Well, no, but you have to listen to what she said. She wanted to pick Pete,
correct.
But the powers within the power in the party said no. She wanted to pick Shapiro, and the powers within the party said no. Look, there was a comment recently put and respond to one of my comments, yes, which is very true. The powerful within the party have been fucking up this party. They stole the election twice from Bernie. Yeah. That's true. They did. Yeah. They fucked us over and said, hey, we're not going to allow anybody to run against Biden. And if you do, you will be chastised and kicked out of the party, which they did with David. Okay. And they forced us to take Biden, even though most of us did not want him to rerun for re-election. Then when he showed that how senile he really was in June, they shoved down our throat Kamala, but they say, hey, Kamala, these are the conditions for you to run. With all due respect, she never once criticized Biden. She was a very loyal vice president. I would give her credit for that. She did not criticize him. And when they say you're going to go with a white man, a straight white man who is more liberal than you, so we could get the liberal vote, that was imposed. She was saying, you're going to put you here with these conditions. That's what she's saying in her book. And I believe that. Now, should she stood up and done better? Yeah. She should have. But look, Kamala's always been a weak candidate.
Yes. Never won
Kamala,
a delegate.
let's get this clear. When people tell me, let's put it this way. I'm going to say it to you.
Okay.
Are you surprised that the first black female running for president of the United States got less support in her endeavor than Joe Biden from the black community?
Oh, I'm not surprised. No, I'm not surprised.
Yet, and the people within power of the Democratic Party think that I run a black candidate, blacks are going to vote for him. No. I run a Hispanic candidate, Hispanics are going to vote for him. No. That's the mentality. As a matter of fact, there is a tank thought that came out saying that once the Democrats take power in 2026, the first thing they should do is impeach the president. My advice, do not. But there's a think tank of consultants who came up with that as an advice. So just so we know. Look, what Kamala said about the is what I'm about to say in the next 5 minutes. And I've been saying this since I started this podcast. Schumer, Pelosi, Jeffries, all the old loyalty of the party needs to go. When it comes to running for president, Newsom, no. Shapiro, no. And I could keep going down the list. Why? Because you are the establishment.
Yeah.
Okay. We need, and this is, I'm saying it again, I'm going to say, we need to imitate the Republican Party. We need to embrace ourselves, embrace who we are, and find somebody who is outside of the line who's going to come and say, hey, we need to save our country. Our country is so divided, is so bad. We need to save our country. We need to stop the bickering over the little details. We need to save our country. We need to become the leader of the world. We need to stop being petty about stuff. We need to stop having incompetence as our attorney generals and as our cabinet members. And we need to save our country because our division is throwing us down the sink. As a matter of fact, you could throw all the division that we have, put it in a toilet. We need to flush it and start all over. This division is killing us. But this is what we're doing. Now, if you're a Republican, you don't talk to a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you don't talk to a Republican. And the MPAs are not talking to either of us because they think we're both crazy. And there's a certain truth to that. Yes. And there are some stupid people like Bill Moyer who will tell you, hey, we need to go to the center. What center? There is no center. Let me show you pure math again, Bill. 42% of this country are with President Trump. They're MAGA. And he could go in and poop in his pants in front of all of them and start acting crazy. They're going to vote for him.
Yeah.
Period. These are the ultra right, well, they're not conservative. They're ultra rights, with their agenda.
Okay.
The Democrats, we have our liberals. You want to call them woke? You could call them woke. Not all of our liberals are woke, but yes. And they come out to vote. And you stole the election from Bernie Sanders twice because the liberal part of the party voted for him. Before Biden won South Carolina, Bernie had won 6 states. Granted, some were primaries and some were straw ballots, but he won them. Stop pretending. Okay? And they stopped the election because of the pandemic and they gave it to Biden. But realistically, the Democratic Party has a majority of people who identify as progressives or liberals. Okay, I'm sorry, they do. And to try to push them away is mathematically stupid, Bill. And that's why I have a problem with Bill. Well, you need to get rid of these people. You get rid of that part of the party, you don't have a party. The country is not in the middle. Needs to go there, but currently it's not in the middle. 42% of the country is with the president, stock, power, and everything. And I would have to say that 43% of the country is progressive or liberal. Hey, mathematically, you're talking of, with all due respect, less than 20% of the country who don't identify in either street, who may be liberals. But then again, if anything Charlie Kirk's death taught us is that there are people in the right who thought that Charlie Kirk did not go far enough.
That's true. Nick Fuentes.
Are they 2 or 3 or 5% of the population? Let's give them 5. That would take them to 47. There are people in our party who are super woke, and that I will give them another 5%. So we're talking about maybe centrist, less than 10%. So if you say, let me throw out from the Republican Party all the crazy MAGAs, or let me throw out the Democratic Party all the liberals, progressives, you don't have a party, Bill. And you're not even a centrist. Bill Maher is a conservative middle person, but he's more of a conservative. The only reason he calls himself a liberal is because he's in Hollywood, and he knows that if he calls himself anything but a liberal, they will crucify him. But that's a thing for another day. Now, let's go into the fuck ups of the week.
Here we go.
I'm going to start with the Republicans.
Okay.
Mr. President, it's petty what happened with the escalator. It is petty what happened with the teleprompter. That happens quite often, by the way. Teleprompters, the software not always in good function. So, and it's petty that most of the people did not applaud you. But it's worse, your speech. You did not address Gaza and Israel. You did not discuss Ukraine and Russia. You did not discuss the starvation that there is in Gaza. You did not discuss the division that there are among countries. And you did not try to lead the world as you should have. You took an hour and 17 minutes to criticize the United Nations, which made those people feel very loyal and important to you. Look, if you don't want to be the leader of the free world, quit. But we elected you also as the leader of the free world, and you're acting not accordingly. That was the worst thing you could have done. There is wars, there's starvation, there are the hostages, and you did nothing to address that in your speech. You decided to chastise the members, the bitch about petty things about the escalator, about the teleprompter, and the fact that people were not applauding you. You attacked countries by saying that they were bad and that you were smarter than all of them. That really, really motivates the world to like you. You're full of shit. That is yours. There's other things that the Republican Party's done, but that is yours for now. Now, Democrats. I'm going to start with my state. And I'm going to say this in a very simple way. Nikki, or what the fuck are you thinking about of asking for the MPAs to be included in a Democratic primary? Really? How does that advance our party? Explain that to me. Oh, we will bring the MPAs. No, they will bring the MPAs to vote for us. And basically, they're not true Democrats. Republicans will do it because they're right. If you really want to vote in our primaries, you might as well be a member of our party. If you don't have the decency or the commitment to be a member of our party, then they'll vote. As a matter of fact, most MPAs know that they can't vote in the primaries, and they're fine with that. They really are fine with that. They don't care. They don't want to identify as a Democrat. So they don't want. But you want. That's what you're spending your money and your energy on. You're not recruiting a candidate for a CFO, for Attorney General, for Secretary of Agriculture. You're not really even helping people to run for governor or for that matter, U.S. Senate. You're doing nothing to salvage and bring back Dade County into our possession. No. You're talking about doing something stupid. Really, that is a loss of time, effort, and everything. Nikki, can I ask you for a little favor, if it's not too much to ask? Quit. Let a real leader lead our party, because that's not you. You weaken our party. You made it irrelevant. You've lost Miami. You've done nothing to save it. And now you want the MPAs to vote because that's going to save our party. Because then, since we let them vote, they're going to vote Democrat. You know how stupid that sounds? People vote for candidates. Recruit a good candidate. Make that good candidate a person that can come up and get votes. And that you can ask the MPAs to vote in our Democratic primaries. You don't even have a strong candidate for CFO, for Agriculture, for Attorney General at all. But you're going to go and recruit and let these people vote. Again, Nikki, do me a favor. Quit. Because you are fucking up the Democratic Party beyond repair. Whoever comes after you is going to take at least 10 years to straighten up our party. With that, you can subscribe. You can like me. You can dislike me. I love your comments, even those of you who not. And to take this, I'm going to say this a very ending way. Government is not your problem. It's your elected officials who are your problem, who are corrupt beyond repair. And one last thing, please try to make peace among ourselves. Let's agree to disagree. Let's save our country from its division, because if we keep down this route, it's going to be a sad day very soon. With that, thank you, and I will see you next week.
All right, Jimmy, take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you the next time.
Okay.